Today's demonstration is that of counterfeits, things you have to watch out for. So for safety precaution, obviously, you're dealing with chemicals, you want to wear gloves. But sometimes you find things out there that are counterfeit you don't expect. And one of the things to prove it, you can use X-ray, you can use sound, but you can also use chemistry. Watch this. There are pieces out there that are counterfeited. Look at that, now it's turned to nickel, where you can literally strip the silver directly off of the counterfeit piece and it'll turn a different color right away to show the nickel subplate. So there's a lot of pieces out there that are plated with silver and then underneath they have a nickel subplate, and a quick bath in a particular combination of solutions will remove that plating and show you things are not exactly always what they seem. So we're just going to drop a few of those in there, give a little bit of a stir. Sometimes they turn copper, sometimes they turn nickel in the color. In this case they have a nickel subplate, so we're seeing the effects of that. Which are never good. But the most obvious effect is on these pieces that are nickel plated. See how that's a much different luster now? So what we've done is we've stripped the silver plate off that, and we're going to strip the silver plate off all of these so people know they won't be screwed by them in the future. They're no fun. Next part I'm going to do a spoon and show you how that works. Okay, a couple minutes later we've come back to our materials and notice how the silver dollar is now a completely different color. So if we pull these out of there now, yeah, those don't look quite right, do they? So we're going to put those to the side. Now that we've stripped the silver off of them, notice how that commemorative dollar doesn't look the same either. So yeah, these things are the bane of coin dealers' existences. But you can definitely see that improper color and brassy color coming through, white brass. It's distinctive of things that are not silver. So we're going to pull these out, we'll give them a rinse, and of course, you know, you can much easier see now the fact that these things are not what they're supposed to be. See how the color's off on those things. Now, unfortunately, these didn't have quite the color change that I wanted to see, but I did find some plated material that we're going to dip real quick and see if that does the same instant color change as it should. And oh yeah, look at that. See how it's turning a brassy copper color now? So what we've done is we've stripped that silver off. It strips almost instantaneously. It shows more brassy yellow copper on the other side. We'll let that sit for a minute and do its thing. But definitely different. It's getting harder and harder to find the pieces that don't have a nickel subplate. A lot of times we'll see that nickel plate underneath and it has sort of a yellowish color. And that's what we're seeing there. But on these coins, they definitely changed color much more than they should have. And of course we'll x-ray them after we clean them and we'll show the difference. Okay, we've come back a couple minutes later to see how this is done. Now you can see the copper underneath. So definitely a difference in color there when you strip the silver off finally. I found a couple other examples of spoons and forks that are going to be that way too. So these are plate. So we'll put those in there and see how they do as well. Of course, if you stir it a little bit, the action happens a little bit faster with agitation and oxygen. As you oxygenate it, so you can see now that silver plate's coming off. So once there, and then it disappears. And that shows that nickel subplate underneath after etching it away. of the plate, and eventually the copper will show up as well on there, which is what we're starting to see on this one. You can see the nickel subplate, that's the shiny part, and the rest of it's going away. And after we rinse these, you can see, we'll see the difference as well. And we'll do that here in just a minute. We'll leave the top part plated so you can see the difference in the transition from one side to another. But yeah, that's definitely shows indication of plate with that mismatched color on there. So that's the nickel subplate. It definitely strips it away, which is interesting. Here we have our stripped out items. This is what they look like before. This is after. You can see I tried to leave part of the silver on that one. So it does make a big difference after you get it stripped. So these commemorative half dollars were fairly weak when we shot them at first. You know, they're only showing 1% silver. And then of course, when we go over and x-ray them again, we show that they're just brass with no silver. This particular piece up here, when we x-rayed it on 1/2, we show a percentage of silver being about 6%, which is pretty light. And if we go over to the other side here and pull the trigger, we will see that that silver is now gone because we stripped it away, just brass. And here on these spoons, we did manage to do a 1/2 and 1/2. So if I x-ray the bottom here, get that lined up, pull the trigger, we're going to show that it's got about 19% silver in the first 50 microns. So now I'm going to move up to the bowl of the spoon and get an x-ray shot. And now we're showing 0 silver, copper, nickel, zinc. Now the reason why it's still white looking is the nickel that's on there. And then of course these silver dollar fakes, if I x-ray one of these bad boys, we see they've got a very small flash plate of silver, only 1%. And then we go over to any of the ones that we've hit and x-ray those, and all the silver is now gone. So that's how to strip the silver off these coins, and that's how little of these on there. A lot of people might x-ray these and they might show up 30-40% silver and they think it's that percentage. No, it's not. When a con artist is trying to get you, they're going to use as little as they possibly can to pull that gotcha move on you. So these will be recycled for what they are, but interestingly enough, if we take these to a bench grinder, we'll see the same effect. Where you have silver on the one side, and when you hit it with a bench grinder, it'll just be brass. So that's the ultimate way to figure out what's on something. There we got that. So we still got a little bit of silver on there because I couldn't grind the whole thing, but for safety reasons I wasn't going to go further on it. But one of the ways to tell instantly is to grind something like that down. So these are the things to watch out for on these fakes that are out there. And a lot of times in the shadow you can actually see the color difference between the two, especially if you use a sanding belt. So there's a lot of ways to get those done, but that's one of the ways to strip silver coins of their values. And of course, you know, we'll melt these down and recycle them for their brass content, as they could still confuse somebody. Even though we've stripped the silver, they still look just okay enough that someone might actually think they're the real deal, except for the fact that their weight is gone, and if you x-ray them now, and they're also way too light. But these are just some of the techniques you can use to strip a silver dollar. Next, we're going to do recovery from our solution. Common question is next is how do you get your silver back out of the solution? Now, we don't have a lot of silver in there since what we were doing was fairly weak. We were just doing this for demonstration purposes. But you can recover by, it's a very exothermic reaction. But that white forming is the silver that will fall out of solution. Now, this is a fairly exothermic reaction when it happens, so I'm not going to go very fast on it. And of course, I'm having a little trouble stirring it. But that milky substance is actually the silver that will fall out of the solution by the time it's all said and done. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a stir. And now you can start seeing some silver chloride forming because we've added some chlorine to the solution. Next, we'll allow that solution to settle, decant it off, and we can recover our silver from it. So we're going to let that set for a little bit and turn the vent hood back on so we can hear. I'm actually a little surprised at how much silver chloride was actually on that coin and the pieces we dipped. And there's a little bit left in the solution I'm letting settle, so I'll run a filter on that and we'll see how much silver we got. Alright, now that we've rinsed our solution and we now have silver chloride at the bottom there, which is what that is right there, that's the silver chloride that's been recovered. We're then going to convert it to silver oxide so we can melt it, drive off the oxygen, and then only have pure silver metal. So, in order to do that, we have to do a little chant and go, "By the powers of science, I command thee to change into silver oxide." Add a little secret there. Swirl it around. And of course, what this will do is convert the silver chloride into silver oxide, which is a black-gray color. And oh, look at that. Now our silver has converted from silver chloride to silver oxide right before your eyes. So that black powder is silver oxide. Just make sure that it is, and it turns black due to the light. So if you've ever seen a black and white photo, people used to take these things called pictures, and it was actually had silver that was light and photoreactive. So in the light, micron silver will actually turn black, and then you can wash away certain silver oxides and non-silver oxides. But now our silver oxide has been completely transformed into a powder. We will filter this and melt it and see how much silver we got. We've now filtered our silver oxide, and now we're going to take that and we're going to put it in a crucible. That way we can determine the silver value. So I just heated that up to clean it out. So next we're going to melt that and see how much silver we get. So we just melted that into a very small silver bead, which now we must extract and weigh. We should be able to get that out of there, no problem. Oh yeah. So we're going to put that in some water, and we'll weigh it up and see how much silver we got. And yeah, nice little bead of pure silver. So let's see what we got. Okay, so we just x-rayed our bead, and it was 99999 pure, which is pretty cool. And there it is, all half a gram of the stuff. But yeah, that half gram was coated amongst all this silver except for the half of that and the half of that. But that's what the result was a half a gram bead of pure silver. So if you're ever wondering how much silver is on a bunch of these, that's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 12 face and sterling and fake silver dollars, and there's some more that was on that silverware. So that's not a lot of silver per item, since that's 80 cents worth of silver at $56 an ounce right now.